Okay, so the first question is going to be pretty simple. It's just the oldest family memory. And that could be from something, you've researched on Ancestry or anything, just as far back as you can remember our family.
Far back as I can remember is on my mom's side is trips to West Virginia and them killing chickens for Sunday dinner, chopping their heads off with a hatchet and or axe rather, and letting them burn around in the yard until they bled out. It was the freshest chicken you'll ever get.
Fresh.
That was on my.
So
and I remember my grandpa. He was disabled and elderly. I remember him sitting in his chair, and he had a baby's high chair for like a little table beside him. He was using it like a coffee table, and he had to sleep in a hospital bed. That was some of the earliest memories. That's back in the 1950s,
Nice.
40s, late 40s and 50s. And on my dad's side, I remember going to his home up in the Spruce Knob area, Pendleton County, and we went up there, and I remember sleeping on a feather bed.
yeah.
That was pretty impressive. It was the best night's sleep I probably ever had in my life. And my brother and I were chasing Charlie. Were chasing the sheep around, and my grandma got after us for chasing the sheep around. She was a descendant of Mary Catherine Rain, daughter of Tobias Rain.
Okay.
And she was pulling rank on us and made us get away from the sheep.
Now, because you do Ancestry, I know I do that with you. How far back have you dated our family?
On the Cook side, we got back to William Cook Jr. was born around 1799. I'm sorry, 1795. It was 1795. But that you have some variations in that, depending on what you're looking at on some of your census things and stuff. You'll have different ages on stuff like that. But then his father came here from England, but we don't have much information on him as far as when he came here and so on, and what part of England he came from. You and I discussed this before.
Now, that was William Cook Sr., right?
William Sr. And Jr. was the one that started the clan in this country, as far as our branch of the Cooks.
Okay. Now, do you know where the origin of the name Cook came from? How far that was able to go?
That can come. Well, if the person who prepares meals the same as we think of it today, there's a German variation which is Koch, and they pronounce that Coke or Cook or Koch. There was a mayor in New York. His name was Koch, and he pronounced it Koch. So it's Cook. It's English and it's German. But in England they spelled it just like we do. But in Germany, apparently it was spelled Koch.
Okay.
They may use the other way of spelling it too. Our way, I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's all I know.
Now, William Cook Sr., he came from England, but he settled in Virginia, was it?
Yes, it was Virginia at the time. And it was later at the Civil War. Then it became West Virginia.
Okay, so
Virginia, it's the west. People who were west of the Allegheny Mountains, they broke off and formed their own state.
now collectively, I mean, where's the majority of our family at now? Are we still in that area, or have we kind of moved around a little bit more?
Well, we're pretty scattered. We have cousins that we don't even know back in West Virginia on my mother's side and my father's side.
Yeah.
My mother's side, we're from southern West Virginia, near Bluefield area, which is right up. Bluefield is in Virginia and West Virginia. parts of that city are in West Virginia, parts of it are Virginia, depends on what section you're in. It's like Bristol, Tennessee, and Bristol, Virginia. But they're probably a couple of hours further south than my father's people. My father's people are west of Harrisonburg, Virginia, over the Alleghenies, into the western side of the Allegheny is where he came from. And that's the highest point in the state. It was a place called Spruce Knob. It's the highest mountain in the state. So that's where he came from.
You mentioned the Civil War and how that became West Virginia. Now, correct. As far as our family's involvement, which side is the Cooks on in the Civil War? Did they tend to fight for the Union or the Confederacy? And do we have any notable family members involved?
Well, Tobias Raines, which is my grandmother's mother's father, so it'd be my great-grandfather, I guess he would be. Tobias Raines fought the Confederacy, and he was captured, and being a lieutenant, he was valuable as if he would escape, so they took him up on an island up in the Great Lakes up in Ohio, and that was where the prison camp was to keep him from getting loose and coming back, because they didn't want their key people getting free and coming back and fighting again for the Confederacy. So he was definitely Confederate. He was 46th Virginia Infantry. And Nicholas Cook, he was a member, I know for a certainty that he was a member of the West Virginia militia. I think at one time he was also a part of the Confederates, but I'm not certain of that. I know he was in the West Virginia militia. And they more or less, my interpretation of what I've read, is they took care of their own people. They didn't furnish the troops for the Confederacy or the Union. They took care of their own people, their own militia.
Now, Gran, do you know your family, the Kriggers, where they predominantly were? If they were north or south, or?
You talking to Granny now?
Yeah.
What was the question?
If she know where her family predominantly was during the Civil War, if they were northern or southern.
Southern.
They were southern, the Krieger family?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're
well, there were some that were still in Pennsylvania.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. I remember talking about that.
My dad and mom's generation.
There was one of them that he got captured along with Daryl's parents, Daryl's ancestors.
Oh, really?
The Point Lookout down in southern Maryland, the prison camp there.
Okay. Well, that brings me right into the next question. I know our family, myself included, we all have a rich military background. So, as far as you can relate, what's our family's military history? What's our oldest that you can think of our family's involvement in the military, and your parents, likewise, just any family military history.
We had Captain Siebert. Captain Siebert, he was a captain of the fort in West Virginia. It was actually Virginia at the time in 1758. He wound up getting slaughtered there by the Shawnee Indians.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember. Shawnee Indians. Now,
that was Captain Siebert.
What
they done is they lined up the old ones on one log, and then they lined up all the younger ones that they could sell into slavery on another, and they just took killed up the chief's command. They chopped their heads, split their heads with axes. They killed all the old ones, and they took the young ones and sold them to the French and so on. And George was one that escaped, and he was the father of Sarah Siebert. And Sarah Siebert wound up marrying a Weimer, and they wound up being our ancestors.
That's right. They married into the Weimers. Didn't they marry into the Cook family?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Siebert, how does that spell? Is that S-E-I?
The there's several ways of spelling it. It's, where the site of the slaughter is, they have a mass grave, and I think they spell it Sybert. Captain Siebert, he spelled it Siebert, I believe, is what I've most always seen in any thing that I've found that referred to him. And so it can also be Seybert.
Do you have any
different spellings of it.
Do you have any idea where that name comes from? If that's English,
It's German.
German. Okay,
Yeah.
I could figure that out. Okay. Now the next one's a little bit different. Oh, actually, I do want Gran. Hang on. No, I'll come back to that. I want to talk about our family's faith. What our religious background was. As far back as you guys know.
I would guess, I think probably that, probably about as far back as I know. And there were some, I think Aggie said there were some Quakers or something.
Quakers?
Some of them, I heard, I think it was Uncle Neil said that they had moved out to Utah and became Mormon.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is that a big portion, or is it because I always thought the majority of our family was Christian, of a Christian faith, and mostly Baptist is what I knew I was familiar with. But the Mormon, I didn't know about that part.
A lot of those people, I think, were what they call Lutherans down there in my father's area of West Virginia, in Pendleton County.
Okay.
A lot of those were Lutherans, I think, because there were a lot of German people down there.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.